My name is Jesse Gonzalez. I'm the unit director at the Westside Boys and Girls Club. The first day of summer camp this year was a little different than the rest. Kids were just happy to be back in the facility. A lot of them hadn't been here since COVID started. These kids, they walk into the door. The first thing they do is, "Hey, Mr. Jesse, how are you today?" with a big smile. It doesn't matter if they had a bad day at home or wherever they came from. When they come through the doors, that's just like their safe haven. They're able to be themselves. They're able to be kids. Here at the United Boys and Girls Club, some of the things that we do for our kids, we provide them with academic programs, we provide them with physical activity. They have an opportunity to interact socially in our games room. They're provided with STEM and arts and crafts. They have a variety of different programs in which they can be able to be successful on a day-to-day basis here at the facility. On a day-to-day routine for one of the kids, they get a little bit of leisure time in the games room before they have breakfast, and then they break down into the groups. We have one group doing physical activity for 45 minutes. We'll have one group doing our Freckle program, which is our academic program, for 45 minutes. We'll have a group doing our arts and craft, and we'll have a group doing a STEM activity. So it's a busy time. Once we get going into the groove of things, they're consistently doing something structured, basically until they get picked up.
I get here in the morning at 9 o'clock.
After that, we have lunch. And then after lunch, we have assembly.
My favorite thing about coming to the Boys and Girls Club is playing soccer.
You can make a lot of friends here.
I've been coming to the Boys and Girls Club for 9 years.
I've been coming to the Boys and Girls Club for 5 years.
If I wasn't here at the Boys and Girls Club, I would just stay home and be lazy and bored.
So here at our facility, specifically at the Westside Union, we have a music studio for Notes, and our kids are able to access that program as well at no cost to them. They do classes that help them with ukulele lessons, piano lessons, guitar lessons, singing lessons, any type of music lessons you can think of. It's literally a recording studio with high-tech equipment in there, and thanks to the Women's Fund and their scholarships, it's at no cost to the different individuals to be able to attend. A lot of the kids spend a lot more time with our staff than they do at home. His parents are working, so for them to be able to come here and have that environment where it's second home for them, that's something we want to cater to the kids. Being here as an alum, I mean, now that I'm older and I look back at the different experiences that I had at the facility, this is probably the first place that I started to play soccer, and soccer honestly is a pivotal role in my life. I was able to go to college because of it. Most importantly, I think I see myself in a lot of the kids here. I mean, they grew up in the neighborhood, I grew up in the neighborhood, so just being able to give back to them in that way is huge for me. Here at the Boys and Girls Club, our summer camp fees are $75 per week. For compared to other summer programs, that's not very expensive, but when it comes to having multiple kids, then it really takes a toll on the families. Instead of worrying about paying their bills or what they're gonna eat that week, they're able to just send their kids here worry-free and focus on whatever they need to do at home. For us to be able to provide 28 scholarships from the Women's Fund to 28 kids free of cost for them to come here for the entire summer, and to be able to provide meals is huge. I mean, a lot of the kids don't get to have a chance to have breakfast because parents are rushing out the door to go to work, so for us to be able to provide breakfast, a lunch, and a snack for the kids goes a long way. So this is our commercial kitchen here. This is where all the meals for the south end of the county are prepared on a daily basis. That's including breakfast, snack, and lunch. So this is where it all happens. This is lunch for tomorrow, getting prepped as we speak. These are actually from the garden out here. So we have some of the younger kids pick the tomatoes that we have in our gardens, and we're able to use it for their lunches. You're providing breakfast, snack, and a lunch for a kid for 9 weeks of summer. That's a lot to put on a parent, so for us to be able to relieve that off of their plate it's huge, and then to be able to do it for the whole county, that's a big step for us. At the end of the day, one of the things that we want from our kids attending our programs, we want to make sure we provide them the tools to be successful citizens in the community. We want to be able to give them support systems so that if they have aspiring goals to go to school, go to trade school, go to college, whatever it is that they want to do, that's one thing we want to instill in the kids here on a day-to-day basis. We want to make sure that we give them the tools and the power to feel like they can do and accomplish anything that they want once they step out of our doors and are no longer coming to the programs. The cool thing about it is we see a lot of the kids that we've catered to when they were younger, and we see them come back as volunteers, we see them come back as staff, and that's what we want to keep doing. We want to be able to provide these kids with an opportunity in their futures to be able to be successful.
Hello, and welcome to our Women's Fund panel discussion about the programs, services, and community impact of the United Boys and Girls Clubs of Santa Barbara County. My name is Janice Salin, and I was the lead researcher for the Women's Fund grant to the UBGC in May of this year. Our $70,000 grant provided full scholarships to 103 low-income youth to attend the just completed Summer Spectacular Camp in UBGC's 4 South County clubs. In response to the consequences of remote learning, the camp schedule was enhanced this summer to integrate daily educational sessions covering 4 core subjects. And now it's my honor to introduce our panel. To my far left, Lori Leese is the Executive Vice President of Advancement for UBGC. In the middle, Bert Dannenberg is a school counselor at the Aliso and Summerland Elementary Schools, which are part of the Carpinteria Unified School District. And Don Hall is an area director of UBGC, and he's in charge of the Carpinteria Club. Thank you all for participating, and let's get going. So Don, I'd like to start with an overview question to provide some context for the Women's Fund members. What is the mission and what are the goals of UBGC?
Great. The Boys and Girls Club is all about providing that safe place for kids to go during the non-school hours and during the summertime, where they can get educational support, they can participate in physical activities, and in our case, they can enjoy healthy meals and snacks. And we want to make sure that they're having fun and that they're developing in a positive way and they have some goals for the future.
Okay, thank you. And Lori, could you give us a brief history of the Boys and Girls Clubs in Santa Barbara County?
Yeah, so the club was started in 1938. A group of firemen, local firemen, saw a need for after-school programming. Some of the local kids didn't have anything to do after school or gym, and the club started on their Haley Street location at an abandoned firehouse. There's only 10 boys, and within a year it grew to 211 boys enrolled in the program. And then World War II came, and the firehouse was moved, the new location was moved to the Canto Perdido site where it is today.
Okay. And Bert, I think it's important to understand the challenges and obstacles that typically confront the kids that are served. What do you see?
Sure. I think we have 2 big obstacles that we are and challenges these days in school. One is food insecurity that Dawn mentioned. The other is a safe place and a quiet place kids can come and use the internet, especially during school shutdowns. Fortunately, we were able to work with the Boys and Girls Club to provide a safe space where they had internet. They come to the Boys and Girls Club and get online and get to their classes online. And the Boys and Girls Club also provided clean, healthy meals for them also while they were here. So those are 2 of the big challenges that the Boys and Girls Club were able to help us with as a school district.
Okay. And Lori, how does the kids' participation at the clubs open up new opportunities for them?
I think it's all about access to resources that might not be available to them. As far as tutoring, we have an educational program called Power Hour. Like Dawn had mentioned, we have educational computers, we have access to Wi-Fi, we have spaces for learning, we have spaces for growing as far as athletics, we have big gyms at most of our clubs that they can do athletic programming. And we also have a support mentoring program that we run through the Boys and Girls Club.
Don, what programs are offered throughout the year? And what informs the design of the programs?
Well, we're fortunate to be part of Boys and Girls Clubs of America, and they have some signature programs like our Triple Play program, which is a healthy mind, body, and soul, where the kids learn about things like healthy eating and exercise and so forth. Power Hour, as Lori mentioned, is our homework assistance and tutoring program. This year we added a component called Freckle, which is an online tutoring program which meets kids at their level. And they are practicing their reading, their math skills, etc., so that there's less learning loss in those hours away from school. Arts and crafts programs, we have activities like our fine arts competition and so forth. So there's just a whole suite of programs that we offer the kids, and it makes a difference for them as they're here during the summertime to occupy them in positive ways.
Bert, as summer ends, the clubs move into an after-school development program. And what role does that play in nurturing their growth and development?
Well, I think the biggest thing for a lot of our children is that when they come to the after-school program, they're not going home to an empty home. A lot of our kids come from dual families where both parents are working, so they would be going home to nothing at home and nobody to help them with schoolwork. So to be able to come to the Boys and Girls Club and participate in their after-school programs gives them a place to be safe for the afternoon until mom and dad get out of work. It gives them a place to come and get a snack and something to eat where they might not be able to have something to eat at home. But the biggest part is that staff that's there to help them with their work that they might not be able to do on their own, that the parents might not be able to help them with. So to be able to come here and get that help from Don's staff and from the UBC staff here, it's a really good tool for them to actually get some homework done in a space where they might not have that space at home, or there might be 3 or 4 kids at home in the home and they might not get the attention that they need at home.
Well, Lori, I know the clubs played a critical role in responding to the COVID crisis. So after the schools shut down, how did the clubs respond to the crisis and the issues of remote learning?
Well, immediately last year in March, we became food distribution sites, and here in Carpinteria is one of our largest sites that distributed boxes of meals, working with the food bank. And then we pivoted and opened up for online learning, and we ran a whole online learning program through Zoom that opened up into our summer program. In July, we opened our first club. After summer was over, we started our learning enrichment centers when we realized school was not going to be open. And working with counselors like Bert, all our clubs became in-person classrooms, basically, for students that might have not had internet access, might not have the resources they needed, or basically didn't have a space to go during the day because their parents were working. So we became learning centers throughout the county.
Excellent. Bert, I do have some questions about the role of school counselors. So how do you identify the needs of the Boys and Girls Club members?
Well, Don did a really good job of communicating with me during the time that students were here and not at school. Don and I were able to form a relationship very early on in the shutdown, where he would identify students that he felt could use some counseling. And being so close, Elisa was just down the street, I was able to get up here quickly if he was having students that were having some social emotional problems. So Don and I worked hand in hand in identifying those students. The other way I identify students are there are students here that I know that are here. Don was really good at sending me his roll sheets and who was here, so I could go through and see, okay, well, I know that student I was seeing at school, so now I can come see him here. And it actually provided me with an easy way to see my students instead of having to do home visits, which I wasn't supposed to be doing. It gave me a place to come and actually see my students that needed to be seen. Because getting students to go to counseling and see a counselor on Zoom is not easy. They were spending a lot of time in classrooms on Zoom, so to have to get off Zoom and go see Mr. Dannenberg was not something they wanted to do. So it gave me a perfect avenue to come and actually be able to see those students one-on-one, which is what those students really need. So.
And Don, from your perspective, how do you work with school counselors?
Hey, without them, we would have been in trouble. There are lots of kids that have their own IEPs, individual education plans, and other social and emotional issues. So just having somebody that we could compare notes with was important, and the way we would approach working with those kids to get them through the day and understanding what their needs were. And some kids do much better at in-person learning than they do with, the distance learning. So they were a great support system, and we couldn't have been as successful without them.
Okay. I think our members are very interested in the summer camp that's just ending. And Lori, what are some of the successes of the recent summer camp, and what, if anything, would you do differently next summer?
Well, one of the things that is pivotal is the ability to attend camp, right? So along with the Women's Fund donation, we were able to get donations from individuals within the community, and Yardi helped us significantly. So each club at a minimum, was given 50 scholarships. So that opened a huge avenue for some kids that, or families that couldn't afford the high price of summer camp this summer. So access to the extra educational components that we offered, access to free meals, meaning free breakfast, free lunch, free snack, and the athletics that we had. We kept the kids moving all summer, which was great. We even just finished soccer summer camp that the kids were doing, playing soccer with each other.
And Dawn, I know you referenced the Freckle educational program, which helps close the learning gap. Could you describe the program and how it was integrated into the camp day?
Sure. Twice a day, the kids are involved in their Freckle studies. Initially, when we first started, they did an assessment through the Renaissance Star assessment process. So we'd have a baseline to understand, where they're starting from, at what grade level they are, at what point they are with reading and math and so forth. And then we just got through finishing an assessment at the end of the summer to kind of see what progress the kids had been able to make. But it's a fun program. It's engaging. The kids earn coins as they're doing the educational activities in Freckle, and they can spend those coins to dress their avatar or do other fun things. So it's kind of a little change from what they're used to in school, and that it's online, but it's self-paced and kind of it meets them at their level. So we feel like that's been a great addition to our educational programs here at the club.
You mentioned the end of summer assessments. What progress did you see?
Well, we're still gathering that data and trying to kind of analyze it a little bit, but my sense of it is that this was something that allowed kids to stay connected to their academics. Traditionally, during the summertime, there's that learning loss that happens, and when kids first get back into school in the new year, a lot of their time is spent relearning the things that they were taught before, to get them back up to speed and so forth. So we're hopeful that our data will show that this helped in that regard.
And Bert, how do you tap into and use that assessment information?
Well, that assessment, it can be used two different ways. I can look at the social emotional aspect of Freckle and see what kids have happened during summer. So I can use that when they come back to school and what I need to address with them as a school counselor. But the other way I can use it is I can take that information on the academic side, and I can now pass that on to their teachers, and their teachers can see because we use Freckle at the school district too. So we can see where a student was at the end of the school year, and we can see where they're at now after being at camp. And instead of having to collect all that data, and like Dawn mentioned, there's a lot of learning loss, but that loss has to be determined, and we determine it through assessments. So having that assessment on hand already is going to save my teachers time and be able to get them to dive back into the educational aspect of school quickly. So being able to pass that information on to our teachers is going to be a lot of help this year for us.
Okay, moving on to another topic. Lori, I've heard you talk about the secret sauce of the Clubhouses. Can you please describe that?
If you go to any of our clubs, all our club directors probably know each and every one of our members' names and first names, and know their families and know their parents. And if you ask anybody in town, you have 4 or 5 generations that have gone to the Boys and Girls Club, and they always say that place was like my second home. That I got my first chance to surf. A club director bought me my first wetsuit, or believed in me, or listened to me after school. And I think what is so important about our clubs is that connection, that we are their second home. We're a safe space after school, and we provide so much opportunity for them. And the secret sauce is it's only $40 a year. And if you can't afford the $40 for all that, it's free. So we have scholarships, and we never turn any child away.
You've also talked about the Soul of the Club, which is a program that you started, I believe. Can you tell us one of the stories you've recently collected and how you came up with that program?
Yeah, well, in my studies, they call it the Soul of the Agency, which is you have a program that you believe in. It really encapsulates your mission, But it's so inefficient cost-wise, right? You're just like, why are you doing this? How do we run all this amazing programming for $40 a year? Well, we don't, right? $40 doesn't capture everything we do. But why we do it is because of the soul of the club, and the soul of the club is the kids. It's every single child that goes through our blue doors on a daily basis, that we're empowering them to become who they were meant to be, to offer them opportunities they might not have otherwise. And Soul of the club, this is just recent. It just happened on last Friday. One of the moms called me, and she had been going to the downtown club for years, and she has 5 kids. All 5 of her kids now are old enough to go to the club, and she called me, and she hadn't been since COVID because she didn't have transportation, and where she was living, this family only 2 years ago had been homeless, living in their car in Ventura. And she called and said, can I get a scholarship for all 5 of my kids? I have 5 now, is that okay? I'm like, even if I have to pay for it out of my pocket, I will. So I think that's what's so important, is that she knows that she can call me, and we have those scholarships available for those families. And all those 5 kids will get free transportation to the club and all the educational tutoring they need, all the support. And she's a single mom working, so she knows at 6 o'clock at the end of the day she can come pick up her 5 kids, and they've all had their homework. They get their homework done. They've all had a meal. They get a free supper. We're starting a free supper program. And to me, that's what this is all about. This is why we do the work we do.
And Bert, what can the broader community do to provide consistent, nurturing care for our kids?
Thank you for that question, because I've worked a lot with our community recently, and I just want to say, keep doing what you're doing. The Boys and Girls Club has been doing a great job. During the winter, for Thanksgiving and Christmas, I was able to work with the local grocery stores. Our community here in Carpinteria is absolutely amazing, and the way they give back. Albertsons, our local grocery store, donated over 50 holiday meals to our school this year. The fire department did Christmas gifts for our students this year that are less fortunate. And of course, the Boys and Girls Club, who's given so much to our community and done so much for our students. So to the community, I'd say just keep doing what they're doing. Okay. They're giving so much, and it's meant so much for our students to have those resources. So keep doing what you're doing.
Don, my last question is for you. I think our members may be interested in volunteer opportunities. Do you need volunteers, and what role could they play?
Well, I know one thing that Lori is putting together is a women's auxiliary. Mm-hmm. And if you want to help out with a particular child's need or a family's need, mm-hmm. that's a perfect way to get involved, whether it's a pair of shoes to go back to school with, mm-hmm. or school supplies, or just getting involved in kind of being that, for lack of a better expression, secret Santa. The person who can come along and make sure that, the kids have what they need to be successful. Mm-hmm. Certainly those are some opportunities, as well as, during the school year, we have folks that will come in and help us during our Power Hour program. Everybody needs to sign up as a volunteer and go through our volunteer background check process, but that's at our cost, and we make that happen fairly quickly, and then we can get people involved. And if you have a particular skill or interest that you want to share with the kids, that's another way. Right behind me, you'll see a garden. We have volunteers that come and work with our kids and tend to our garden, which is a great educational topic for the kids to learn about. And so there are many opportunities. Just give us a call and we'll hook you up.
Well, I'm hoping you get a lot of volunteers through this program. And that concludes our panel discussion. I want to once again thank Lori, Bert, and Don for participating today and providing such critical information about the importance of UBGC to the lives of club members and their families, and the impact that their programs have on our community. Thank you again.